Hey guys, Prof here. Yahoo, Prof here, and we've got a bit of an interesting situation here. You can tell by the lighting probably. I'm doing a quick and dirty video because a bunch of you wanted to see something that just came in. The G502 Wireless was just came. The G502 Wireless just. The G502 Wireless was just shipped in from Best Buy, and I thought we would crack it open and do a quick unboxing for you guys, since it is a rather iconic Logitech mouse, and even I have liked and disliked it at the same time. Alright, so we have some lighting on in the room here, and you can see a harsh side light. I did want to get you some light on this, so I'm using my very, very bright Army Tech headlamp at max brightness, bouncing off my wall here. We're going to crack this puppy open. I have the, this is the newer Tuck XL from Tactical Keychains. Once again, doesn't sponsor this, but he does really nice work on his tools. I bought everything I got from him, but I couldn't recommend him enough. This one is white Cerakote with purple button and clip. Love this thing. The angle, I'm not going to have very good close-ups here because we just have the GoPro going. Same thing with audio. I know the GoPro, especially the 6 and now my 7 I have pretty shit audio. But I want to get this thing unboxed so I can get gaming with Squares tonight with some Battlefield 5. And some of you wanted to see it. So I thought we'd, a video is better than no video. This is not a cheap mouse. Not too poorly packed. Floor here. Not a cheap mouse. 150 bucks. Just came out. That's priced the same, for those interested, as the G Pro Wireless, which personally I'm not a huge fan of. I'm a bigger fan of the G305, much cheaper. I don't have to worry about charging it with some funky cable. Realistically, G Pro Wireless is a bit small for me too. I don't use a fingertip grip. I use a palm towards fingertip grip style, like palm from the back. But it's just a smidge small for me. Whereas the 305 is, because it's super generic shape, it's just about perfect. This G502 Wireless is same price point, 150 bucks. Different aim really on the mouse there. That G Pro Wireless is really at your competitive pro gamers. That's what you're aiming at. Maybe not pros per se, but people looking to be highly competitive. Whereas this is for your casual gamers. Initially, the original G502 did very well because it had the best sensor on the market and was exclusive for at least a year. That has since changed, but even after that, it had got a lot of acclaim because of that and a lot of press. So a lot of people ended up just recommending it because it was the best mouse due to the sensor. Now it's not by any means a bad shape. Little small for me personally, just a smidge, but it's really heavy. Standard one is 125 grams. This is, let's see if it's on here, 114 grams. So it is lighter, which is part of the reason why I'm getting it. Also wireless. Love me some wireless. And let's crack it open. So first off, we get G502. It's in the newer style. We have the light speed. This also will do the power play matte. I would not mind power play, but it has to be in the matte. To be truthful, I wouldn't mind just it as wireless charging. And also I rock a stainless steel mouse pad, so there's no way that's ever going to work for me. It's very clean packaging. Doesn't look as premium to me as the G Pro Wireless personally, but it's definitely a solid, hard cardboard. It reminds me of like anime DVD box sets, since I have a ton of those. And those actually usually hold up quite well. So if you want something to look good on your shelf, that would be, this would be that. It just looks like it's been shrink wrapped, and then the handle was cut out and or cut out before it was shrink wrapped. Let's crack it open. Having seen other people's videos like Rocket Jump Ninja, Linus Tech Tips, Hardware Canucks, I already know that this has the scroll wheel, basically the scroll wheel from the G900/G903, which is a huge improvement. For those wondering, I'm actually sitting on my garbages, so it's super easy to throw things away. This setup is not really designed for what we're doing here. And once again, sorry about the lighting and harsh lighting and harsh audio, but we're getting this going for you. This does require the new G Hub app, which still finicky at best. I really hope I can still leave Logitech G installed on the system that I will be programming this on. So hard cardboard front. I know you can see the mouse there, teasing a little bit. There is an extra layer here. That's to sit on this, I do believe, to make sure the Z height is it doesn't smush down the mouse. And there's a bit of foam in there, probably for this section back here for the locking and unlocking the scroll wheel. I think I did forget to complete my thought on the scroll wheel. Has the G900, or G903 scroll wheel. Much lighter scroll wheel, yet plenty because it's free spinning. The other thing it does fix is because of the mass on the G502, if that was imbalanced at all, and it took me a while to get a good one. Now, once I've gotten a good one, I haven't had any issues, but it would be imbalanced. So it would kind of like always bottom out when left loose, which is what I do. It would bottom out like this. So if you would actually scroll past, if you wouldn't stop it with your finger, like you'd use inertia, it would like keep going another revolution. And that's a known issue with that. Oh, this feels like home. I mean, I use this mouse, and you can see wireless. There's no wires. The hole here is really, really, really deep. I have not tried yet. I do have some modified micro B cables, or if you actually get some cheap ones that have very thin connectors, a lot of times you can still get it in there. I hate using the proprietary cables. No one should do that. And this is still micro B, not Type C, which I think I We'll see. This might be the plastic. But if you listen, that's my sniper button. Pretty sure it shouldn't be doing that. There is still some plastic on it, so we'll get all that off. But I might have gotten a bit of a dud here. All right. Peel some plastic. Still squeaking. Right. See, here's another thing. Now this one makes sense because it's covering up the feet. Receiver goes down here. Looks like I don't have a receiver though. We'll find out in a second here. This piece makes sense because you're protecting the feet from scratches. Now, just like the original, for whatever reason, there's glossy plastic here and on the front, and they've protected both of that. It's the freaking bottom of the mouse. Nobody cares. If you have to protect it in shipping, once again, I always say this, isn't it going to get dinged up on normal use? Also, it's on the bottom of the mouse. Who cares if it's glossy or not here? Like, seriously. So I just don't do that, in my opinion. They still kept these hard gloss plastic pieces in between. Now it does hold its look. These might actually be smoothed out a bit, which I wouldn't be surprised at because those were definitely visual cutouts in the original, and not really needed to be there. They did fix the bottom mouse foot because you used to have one little tiny guy here, and that actually was a known fault where they would actually ship you additional pads on later versions of the mouse. And later revisions of the packaging and stuff because it would actually wear out, and it would wear out so quickly that it would actually chip pieces of Teflon out. Or PTFE would be the generic term. Okay, now I might have been a little, because now the sniper button sounds correct. Must have just been some plastic or adhesive rubbing on there. So don't freak out. Yeah. You'll notice on a lot of these ones at 3360 and newer sensors that there will be a mouse foot around the sensor. I think that's to preserve liftoff, like how far the sensor is from the surface, especially because we're trying to push for ever lower liftoff. If you notice on this one though, the back side is cut out. And I do believe that deals with angle of light and then where the sensor reads, that they must have seen that does better performance. The one thing I have found with cats, however, and you have to make sure you clean them, is that the mouse feet around the sensors do tend to collect cat hair, which then can make your performance on the downside. So you may not be able to see this too well, but this is the hollow scroll wheel from the G900 and G900S. Same nice click, nice and chunky step to step, which I love, to full free spin. And as you can see, even though it's much lighter, there's no issues with how long it spins. Plenty of inertia there. We're just gonna let it spin down. I can see it vibrating up and down a little bit. So I would say it might not be the most balanced thing, but when it stopped, because it being lighter, and the up and down is probably just due to it's just due to there's a little play until it clicks. If I can show this to you, it'll go up and down a little bit. And you can kind of see when I go like this, there's just a little bit of play. So that's what you're getting. It's not actually in balance. And because it's lighter, there's less mass to cause that kind of like a bad rotation on your tire. And that really bugged me. Like I said, I went through a number of mice to get one with a balanced wheel. We got our little case here. This has our Micro B to Type A. I'm gonna take this out, throw it downstairs. These I actually use as USB extensions because you can use any micro B cable usually, and then it just goes to Type A. So you can kind of custom length USB extensions. Just remember USB 2.0 like this is generally maxes out about 15 feet if you don't use what do you want to call it, an active extender. Now with this guy here, just like the G Pro G Pro Wireless, G703, G700, G602, no, 602 is in the top, 400, not 400, sorry, 403. This pops off because it's meant to use the power charge thing. Thing is with this, though they have a spot for the USB, it's not anywhere near as nice as the one, the G Pro Wireless, which I'll come and grab. So it kind of just sits in there like that. You kind of just push down and flops out. It doesn't actually insert like most Logitech mice. You put it into something like that. This one kind of just sits in there, and I would put it with the thin metal part up, what we were looking at, or technically towards the mouse feet. Because that way you can kind of get your fingernail in there and flip it up. I'm gonna leave it in there for now. I don't have the, what's that thing called? The charging doodad power play mat. Like I said, it's a rather small mat for me. I would almost like to use it as like a wireless charger, like a Qi charger. One thing to watch out for with Logitech feet in general is usually they're a softer PTFE, so you may be replacing them sooner than normal. Like right now, this desk I left it a bit rough, and if I use this mouse on it, it would just shred it. But that's fine for me because I use mouse pads with everything. Then in the box, you get a giant white and blue Logitech G sticker that'll go in my huge box of stickers, and then in here you have a charge cable. Now this looks fairly thick and fairly heavy. They definitely do not intend for you. You can use it while playing, but I can just tell by the thickness that they don't really mainly intend you to use this. It does have the new Logitech USB connector. I do like it. It gets very, very close to the standard type, but is unique enough. Very boxy, simple. They're not trying to do something crazy like they did fairly frequently on their older mice. That headlamp over there is so bright it's actually giving me a headache. Be right back. I'm going to grab a couple of things. Oh jeez. Oh jeez. Hey, Hams. Yeah, buddy. Where's my G900? Some people might wonder why I hold on to all these mice, but here we'll show you why. So what we have here, let's move this guy off to the side. Oh, let me check one thing here, because I do a shaved down micro B. We'll see if we can get it in there and get this thing charging. Oh, sure, it fits, no problem. All right. This thing's got a 10-foot cable. You really shouldn't have a problem. Back up. Ooh. All right, well, move the chair again. All right. Whoop, 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 whoop. So besides having these giant stacks of mice here, and the other two mice I grabbed, that these have always been on my desk lately because they're handy to have. Basically, G Pro Wireless has been sitting there because man, a lot of talking. That bright light. Alright. Lighting actually doesn't seem too bad in the GoPro, but on that little tiny screen that doesn't always mean much. So, we're going to move this guy off to the side here. What I did find out is I think this is like a something union cable. I like it because it's 10 foot, nice and braided. Defends cats, also rubbing on surfaces. It won't get shredded. What I did is if you can see it here, I cut it down to as thin as it can be, like right on the metal. This is what I try to use to charge everything. And it does fit. So, bam, no need to use proprietary cable. Now, I do have these strain relief on here, because I do like my cables to last as long as possible, mostly because they're cable managed in. So I wouldn't be using this while it's charging. Now, it does, which is fine by me. I have plenty of other mice. Stuff like my EC2B, always plugged in, wired. To grab, I usually have a depth adder of some kind. Right now, an older one, so I can use Synapse 2 plugged in. Also, really rocking the Mamba Wireless. That's probably the big hit for 2018 for me. And this is going to fight with that. It's basically what's going to happen, because I'm thinking the G502 Wireless is going to be a better everyday mouse because of that hyper scroll, because of the additional programmable buttons. I may even run the Logitech G Hub software on this here mouse. So what I was kind of getting at with how the receiver goes in is, if we look here, this actually sits in there pretty darn tight, and it actually has a slot to go in. It doesn't have that on the G502. So basically, once you take this bottom plate off, it's just going to fall out. That may make it easier to put weights in, as well as keep the receiver underneath the weight. Not 1,000% sure. Weights for me, just going to stay in here. There's 2 weight places on here. You can put it in where the power play thing goes and the receiver. Like it kind of stays in there, but like it barely. I usually leave these on. Some people even take these off to save a bit of weight, especially with the receiver being in there. I like to keep it on there. And then there's this piece. A lot of people took this off on the G502. If you're gonna do that, you lose your thumb piece. I wouldn't. Or if you are and you don't mind voiding your warranty, I would lop it off and glue it here if you really want to lose that as much weight as possible, because that thumb rest skate, in my opinion, is highly important. Just because of how, like, where you put your weight. On the 305 here, I really like the white Geo 305. If this was in Bluetooth, I would have one of these for my laptop. It is just, for the price point, the super generic shape, anybody can hold this comfortably, I feel. Now, it might not be the most comfortable mouse, but I'm saying, like, they'll hold it comfortably. In here, we got our lithium AAA. This is when I pull it all the time, just when I want to flick around in games or desktop. It's just the overall comfort mouse. Or if I need one for setting up a computer, or somebody else needs to borrow a mouse or something, you can just chuck this at them. Because like I said, it's a super generic shape. We got AAA in the AA adapter. I'm not going to say I was one of the first to do this. I don't think I was. Not this part. I heard that from Squitters. I think it was on OCN. But way back when the G602 launched, I was already weighing and testing lithium batteries versus AA's. both for the reduced weight, better balance of the mouse, as well as longer battery life. I did not know about the AAA to AA adapter at the time, but I was rocking lithium batteries even back then. And I do like not having to think about charging it. And like I said, worst case, you just go and grab another battery. These last long enough where you don't have to worry about it. That's probably not going to be the case for the 502 wireless. Let's put those off to the side. Here we just have, this is the 403 wired, dusty at that. Don't know where my bottom cover went. Normally, like I said, I keep those on. This is just the wired version. That is just a weight spot on the 403 wired. Then we got the 703. This, and this is a downside of this one. This one even has the weight in it. Huh. So I do have the battery door for this. But I have the weight, which I would never run it in. And in this case, here's the thing. I might even run this without the battery door because this here, the USB receiver, does not have a place to go. So having a battery door doesn't do diddle squat, and then I can reduce weight. It's probably the same thing that happened with the 403 wired, because there's no point in keeping that battery door. I don't have power play. And here's where you can see some of the cat furs around the center mouse foot there. Now one thing to notice is this charging hole is the same. This is the same. On the 502 wireless, they changed it up. I don't know why. I really think that wing thing is, I know it's for stability for using the mouse in wired mode. I really do think though, realistically since the 602, but especially since the G Pro wireless, which is the same tech set that is in the G502 wireless, there's no need to run these wired. Unless your battery's dead and you don't have another mouse and you can't charge it. I will say that this is a softer rubber on the side of the 703 wireless. Much grippier. Don't know if that'll wear more or less than the 502. 502 is also textured. There will be grime and gunk, and I will show you what happens with the 502. Not the wireless, but my original 502. So I got the 703. I don't know, they didn't put a USB hiding spot in there. And then here we have the, I left everything here too, I guess. 903, which, once again, battery door cover here does not have a spot for the wireless tip. And here's a really bad one. I might be able to show you off here. Like if I go like this, I had this on my desk for quite some time. Originally had a 900. This is a great desktop mouse. This is the most expensive web browsing mouse ever. Is basically because it's really meant for a claw grip, because how these front buttons are higher than the rear. Doesn't suit my palm grip very well. I don't think it suits fingertip grip people very well. Claw people are gonna love this, but when you're sitting in awkward positions, just flicking around, because it was so light and wireless, in the hyper scroll wheel, it's super duper duper good for web browsing. Now, like I said, most expensive web browsing mouse ever. I'm just gonna tuck this back in here. This has the opposite buttons and the weight. I took the USB extender already out of here because, like I said, I don't use those. I have my own already. being that this is a part of the mouse, I should probably hold on to it here. We'll take the weight out, because mice, in my opinion at least, don't need to be heavier. They pretty much need to be lighter. Now, everybody's got their preference. Some people like heavier mice. I just wonder how much it adds to add that 10 gram of variability, and is 10 grams really enough? So, yeah. 903, I personally don't recommend it as gaming mouse. Great web browsing mouse though. However, now with the G Pro has basically a hyper scroll wheel on it, except it doesn't hyper scroll. It's that cutout, nothing in there scroll wheel. The scroll wheel on the 903 visibly right here is almost the, as far as I can tell, it's the exact same as the one on the 502 wireless. The 903 wireless seems to be a bit louder. And actually might have a bit more mass. But otherwise, as far as I can tell, it's the exact. I would say visually, it's probably the exact same. It might just feel a bit different because a bit more is exposed out the top than on the 903. But it, like I said, much improvement over the 903, or not 903, the original 502. So now we're gonna get all these out of the way, and this is probably the thing that a lot of you have come to see. Take this out. Which is, we have my original G502, which is disgusting, and a G502 Spectrum that I never used. Don't know why I bought this guy. Only difference between the 502 and 502 Spectrum is the RGB. Has RGB, original in the blue. They made this black. Go to the 502. So my cable on my 502, I don't know if this is actually a Kevlar cable. It reminds me of a Kevlar cable that I would have for mouse feet. I believe they revised this at some point to make it fray less, because it was known to fray a lot wherever it rubbed. So here, where like right at the end of here, it would fray, and then kind of wherever it rubbed on your desk. I still liked it because I would say, I will still probably say this is probably the most flexible, fully braided cable out there. And they did a very good job with it. Now we're really not going to look at the 502 Spectrum. Just want to show you guys I had it. This one at some point might be given away. Hit me up on Twitter if you're really interested. There's a few people that watch this. Because I have no reason to keep the 502 being, or 502 Spectrum being that I have my original 502. This, it got a little kinky being in there. And it definitely gets kinky kind of towards the end of here. So let's see if this one will do this. So these are so big that even the properly balanced ones, I don't know if you just saw that, but it rolled that way after stopping. So if we go like this, no, it's not doing it now. It's a lot more mass, so it's gonna spin a heck of a lot longer. Don't know if that's a great thing, but maybe it's how I'm, oh, it just rolled forward that little bit. I don't know if you can see that, but, and this is my best one I got. So it's a good thing. You really don't need that much mass to, like, there's no reason to rip it that hard. And then you run into the issue of, because there's so much mass there, it carries momentum, and yeah. So one weird thing that is not on here, this is black. And I never understood this, but on the original 502, the DPI selection area there is silver. I don't know if that's to contrast with the silver wheel or what, but here's the other thing you can see. Remember how I said that the kind of notched out sides were going to get grotesque? This is what a real used G502 original looks like. And you can kind of see it here as well. I'll try and hit the light as best I can with the GoPro here. And it just picks up your nastiness. And because it's not smooth, cleaning it's quite hard. You can't just wipe it down because you don't get in the grooves then. In this case, I just let it rip. And here's how you can tell that I really did use it. This actually has aftermarket skates, probably Hotline skates from Costa. Tech. I'll have some links in the description for his stuff. He doesn't sponsor me or anything, but he's just helped me out over the years finding some mouse feet or getting mouse foot material for some rather rare mice that I actually want to use. But I like hard pads, so that kind of shreds feet. And I don't know if you can see, but like right here is where this older one had this issue of wear. It's kind of right at the point of this back foot. They definitely fixed that on the new one. So the sensor area on this guy is also much smaller. Placement of some stuff, it's mostly, there you go, you can see them both there. You can actually even see, like, I use this enough where like this semi-textured plastic over here is starting to, and I can see this with my really bright headlamp that's blinding me, giving me a headache. It's starting to actually smooth out and shine. Grip-wise, because I believe I read that they changed the rubber compound to be something a bit more healthy for the environment. This is actually grippier than my original G502. Now, again, remember this one's heavily worn, so we can go to the Spectrum, which basically was never used because this is not the Hero. So it's just the Spectrum. And there's no reason to switch to it because it's just RGB. Never did buy the Hero because, once again, there wasn't any other changes to it besides the sensor then. So they added RGB and then the Hero sensor. This feels a little bit softer than my original that has a lot of wear on it, but still not as soft and grippy as the 502 wireless here. Oh, and you can hear it. Listen, remember how I was complaining? That USB is not secure in there. So that's a fail on my opinion. It should, I mean, we have two great examples of, here's the other one on the, right there, just goes right there. Oh, and I do have, I forgot. I'm grabbing my chair. Alright. 703 the same way? So personally, I wouldn't even buy the 703 either. Yeah, it's just me. But I do also have the 603. Rocking one AAA in there in the AA battery adapter. Right back here, it's currently plugged into the computer to my left here. There's a little spot in the back there to hold the receiver. Logitech knows how to do that from all of their consumer mice. They've shown on the G Pro they can do it in the same hole as the G502 wireless, and the 305 and the 603 have spots for them as well. So they could improve it there. Now, So yeah, with compare, like they definitely have improvements. Like I said, kind of one weird thing was the silver part. I think that was just contrast scroll wheel. They fixed the mouse feet. It has the better sensor in there now. Lighter, even though it's wireless. That's kind of cool. This thing was heavy, and then you could add weights to it. I do worry about the growtiness, because as you can see, this one's disgusting. But they wanted to keep that look. Everybody knows this look. This is, if I recall, I don't know this for sure. Oop, the camera moved. Okay, so it's definitely not, I don't think it's Logitech's all-time best-selling mouse, because that's probably like the MX518 or in that like line of mice. But 502 was the best-selling mouse. I don't know if it was the year it came out, the year after. Generally, the Death Adder just kind of outsells everything. This is a definite hit. Logitech did this right. They had a proper follow-up to the G500. And they made a good mouse. Now, I'm not saying this thing is perfect. Like I said, for my hand, it's a bit skinny, I would say. Definitely too heavy with the weight. Now, I didn't say that when this first came out because I wasn't used to some of these lighter, just straight 5/6 button mice. I also think this was probably popular because highly recommended by sales, because they could always say it's the best mouse, it's the best sensor. That might also be why they trended the size towards the smaller end for possibly parents buying stuff for kids, because if you made this to say fit perfectly an adult hand, it might be too big for kids and parents buying kids stuff or stuff for their kids. But it's still a great shape, great improvement over the from the 502 to the 502 wireless, in my opinion. Also, the 502 is a nice step up from the G500 and 500S. There was really no point in that existing. The changes they made from the 400, 400S, MX518 were inconsequential. Gave it a worse sensor, gave it more buttons, but they're smaller, harder to reach. Shortly before this came out, after seeing the 602, I made some predictions, and the 502 pretty much went exactly where I thought it would. This was way back when I was very active on Linus Tech Tips. And then the 402 it didn't go where I was thinking it was going. I thought they were going to go more into the MX518 shape, like make a proper 3-finger mouse. But they didn't, and the 402 wasn't great. They made unneeded compromises, in my opinion. There's a reason why this is still around and the 402 isn't. So yeah, I'm going to get some gameplay with this tonight. I thought I'd give you guys a unboxing and overview of this. I'm still going to keep the magnetic thing on here for putting the battery or the USB in, because it does not go in there secure enough without it. And even though it rattles around with it in there, keep my original G502 on hand. Still a decent mouse. I don't seem to go back to it. Always seem to go back to like a Death Adder shape fairly commonly. Do like the 305 shape as well, as just generic ones when I need a mouse or need to grab a mouse. Probably doesn't help that there's so many buttons, and in general use or quick use scenarios you're not going to make use of anyway. But I will try running this puppy daily for you guys. I actually just put brand new feet on my Mamba Wireless, which you can check out on my Twitter feed at TheProfosist, because I do a bit of modification, and this will actually supplant that for the next couple weeks, I would say, just so I can get a real feel to it. Even though I just replaced the mouse feet on the Mamba Wireless, and man, is that thing gliding smooth now. But it's nice to see this, and I'll have to download G-Hub and get it programmed and working. Well, guys, hope you enjoyed that unboxing overview, kind of look at some of the other comparisons to their Logitech mice. Holy shit, it looks like 45 minutes of recording, so this will more than likely be cut down. If you like it, throw a like down below. Dislikes, I guess, fine as well. Either way, if you could tell me, give me some feedback on this video, just like the other ones, I would appreciate it. And you like this content, hit subscribe. Like I said, lighting on this, not great. Audio on this, not great. Just wanted to get something together before I started using it, because I really don't have time in this, you know, to like hold off, set up stuff. But I thought you could still get something useful out of it and some insight from me. And we'll see you in the next one.